everyone. Welcome back to the Best Year of Your Life Summit. I am Melissa Bright, and I am here with Natalie Ledwell. I'm going to first begin by reading a little bit about her, and then we will get started. Natalie Ledwell is a personal development expert, author, and co-founder of Mind Movies, a company known for its innovative visualization tools. With years of experience in the self-growth industry, she helps individuals transform their mindset and manifest their goals. Natalie has authored Never in Your Wildest Dreams and Awakening the Species, and hosts the Inspiration Show, where she interviews leading figures in personal development. So without further ado, Natalie, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. So I'm really, excited to be here and looking forward to sharing our conversation with your community.
Yes, likewise. So why don't we first dive into the first step? What would you say would be the first step that people miss when they start focusing on their dreams and goals, and how can they avoid this common pitfall?
Okay. So what I have found is that when I start to work with people, that they look at their life now, and the reason they're coming to me is because they want something different, which is great. I can teach people how to do that. But most times when you ask people, okay, well, what is it that you want? They're very clear about what they don't want. They're not quite sure about, and they go, look, I would like to have more money. You go, that's great, but what does that look like for you? And they haven't really put a lot of thought into that. Now, the challenge with looking at what it is that we don't want, I mean, that's a great stepping stone into going, well, if I have this and I don't want it, what is it that I do want? You can kind of, switch what is the opposite of that. But when people are very fixated on what it is that they don't want, what I find is that they're focusing on the problem. Now, what we know is that what we focus on expands. And so when you're looking to set goals and dreams and make a mind movie or write affirmations or whatever that is, you have to be in a high frequency of resonance to be able to do that. If what all you're doing is focusing on the problem, the best you could probably come up with is a solution to get out of your current situation, but you don't have the belief, or you don't have, the mindset to be able to go, no, I want to have this amazing, incredible life, and I want to step into that. So the resonance or the frequency in which you are at when you're setting your goals is really important, because that's what's going to carry through on your journey of manifestation. Yeah. So when I talk about, because I know I teach a lot about law of attraction, and I think if you've heard about law of attraction, you know that like energy attracts like energy. So, you want to resonate at the same frequency as the things that you want. You go, okay, that sounds fantastic, but what the hell does that mean? How do I do that? How do I change my frequency?
Yeah.
So how we do that is through our thoughts and emotions.
Yes.
So our thoughts and emotions, because, everything is made up of energy, all resonating at different frequencies. Yeah. Now, when our thoughts and emotions are focused on what it is that we do want, and we can see that in our mind, and we can feel what it's like to already be there, we are now becoming a vibrational match to the things that we need to make that happen. So I always say to everyone, before you even think about what it is that you want in your life, I need you to get into this higher frequency. Now, all that means is getting into emotions that are of a higher frequency. So things like courage, accomplishment, pride, joy, gratitude, happiness, all of these high frequency emotions. And the longer we can marinate and hang out in these high frequency emotions, the higher we are always, resonating, which means that even things that we don't realize we need get attracted to us because that they are of that high frequency as well. Yeah. So how do we do that? I mean, yes, we can do little activities and things that can make us feel good. For me, things like, playing my favorite music, going for a drive in my car with the roof down, when the sun's out, taking the dog for a walk, being out in nature, all those kind of things. But if you want a quick little, how do I get into this high frequency? Gratitude is the fastest way to do it. So if you're listening to this interview and you don't have a gratitude practice, this is the first step that you need to take before you even embark on this manifestation process and creating your best life. Because when you can start your day with gratitude and you can end your day with gratitude, you are helping yourself to resonate at this higher frequency. You know, my practice is that I'll go out in the mornings and take my dog Bella out for her little wee walk in the morning. But that is, I go, okay, this is the activity that I drop into my gratefuls. And I'm grateful for, you know, things that have happened, things that I have, and things that are still on their way to me. Because when I'm grateful for things that have not materialized yet, not only am I, you know, starting to quicken that manifestation process, but I'm also surrounding that future event with a belief and expectation that I know it's going to happen. And I'm grateful for it in advance. And then of an evening, I have a gratitude journal that I write in 5 things every day, 5 new things every day. They can't be the same things. And what I love about doing that kind of an exercise is that because you know you have to write things in your journal that evening, you're looking for things throughout the day to be grateful for. You know, so it's what we're doing is we're training our brain to look for the positive. You know, our brains default to the negative because we do that for survival. But what we're doing is we're going through life like this and everything's tough and it's a struggle and all this kind of thing. But then we're going to go like that and go, oh, well, I'm really grateful that the sun is shining, or that, you know, that they've cut the grass outside and I could smell that fresh cut grass smell, or that, you know, the guy at Starbucks this morning was really friendly to me. And, you know, you're thinking of all these little teeny tiny things and all these amazing things that are going right for you, that are going great throughout your day. Next thing you know, your days are always filled with that because that's what you're focusing on. What we focus on expands. So we can use that for good, you know, and to train our brain for positive, or we can stay in the muck. And then it makes so much harder for us to get out of that situation.
I'm so glad that that's where you said for people to start at is gratitude, the quickest way. That is hands down by far the biggest thing that I changed first in my mindset, and that is what got me to where I wanted to be with starting the gratitude every day, ending it at night. You really do find so many things to be more happy about, appreciative of, and it makes such a difference when this starts to naturally happen and you don't even have to like, okay, what are the things, and really think about it. It's like boom, boom, boom. You know what they are because you just see it everywhere now. So I love that you suggested that as where people need to start. So another thing I want to ask you, for those that might not have a clear vision, what of their future, what practical steps could they take to gain clarity and to start to align with their true aspirations or passions?
Yeah. Well, I have a little system that I suggest people go through, which I'll explain now. And it's really a way to be able to comprehensively describe this future as if it's happening now. So I always recommend that people write affirmations. Now, a lot of people go, well, affirmations, I don't want to stand in front of the mirror and go, when that's not really my reality right now. And I'm like, that's fine, because that's not what I'm going to ask you to do. The reason we use affirmations is, number one, we have to describe what we want as if it's happening now in present tense, because this list of affirmations is what you're going to be using to help you with your visualizations. And when you visualize, you have to see it as if it's happening now. You know, we've got to trick our subconscious mind. So that's why we do that. And the thing is, when we're writing affirmations, we're also using the right language around what it is that we want to create, because every word carries a certain energy and a certain frequency and will conjure up a certain picture in our minds. So that's why you don't want to say things like, you don't want to have don't, can't, won't, those kind of words in your affirmations, and don't have things like, you know, I'm debt free, because debt, I know exactly where I go when I think of the word debt, and I'm frustrated and going, what's going on? Or things like pain, like I'm pain free. You don't want things like that, because then straight away it's going to take you to the pain that you've been feeling. So instead, you would write something like, you know, I'm in optimal health. I've got energy and vitality. You know, I'm financially free. You know, like all of these things, you're actually describing what it is that you do want. So the affirmations train you to do that. You kind of, that's the parameters around how we write this.
Yeah.
So these are the types of affirmations that I recommend that people write to truly comprehensively describe this future. Now, the first thing is you want to write down what it is that you want, as if you have it now. It could be an outrageously successful business. It could be a loving and supporting relationship. It could be optimal health and vitality. It could be anything like that. And even though you may not specifically know what it is that you want, you can start with something generic like an outrageously successful business or an exciting passion-fueled career. So you don't need to know what that is yet, but you need to know a ballpark of what that's going to be so that you know which direction you're going to lean into and start to take action towards. And the other thing that the caveat with all of this is that even if you do know, like I want to have a successful coaching business, I want to help women who are struggling with menopause and blah, blah, blah. Yes, and yes, I would put that down and be open to the fact that it may manifest in something different. But it will still be amazing and wonderful. But you've got to, yes, I want this and I'm not married to it.
Yep.
That's the big thing. Okay, so that's the first one. The second one is what I call what life looks like. Because we can say that we want to be wealthy and financially free. And when you're visualizing, remember, you want to be conjuring up a moment in your mind of where you are being financially free. So, when you're visualizing, it's not just what you see, but what you feel emotionally. So you may go, look, I want a whole ton of cash, but you're not going to visualize a pile of cash because that doesn't mean anything. That's just some innate, object.
Yeah.
What's going to happen when you have this financial freedom? When you don't, when you're making decisions about what to do and where to go on vacation and all these things, money's never a consideration because you've always got enough. What does life look like that? What does your day look like? What are the things that you're doing? Who you're hanging out with? Because these types of affirmations are really what's going to fuel your visualizations. It's really important. So write out what life looks like.
Okay.
Then we want to think about why we want this. And I normally break this down into 3 different types of whys.
Okay.
First is why for the people that I'm serving. So if you are, looking to do a business or a career or something and you're wanting to make a difference, then what is the transformation or how are you helping other people? And make sure that you write that in there. The next one is why for the people that I love. How does me creating financial freedom in my life positively affect my loved ones? Now, sometimes, especially for women, sometimes for men too, but for women, when we have these extrinsic whys outside of us and we're doing it for someone else, sometimes it seems to fuel us a little better than if it was just for us.
Yep.
And then of course the last one is the why for you. And sometimes you go, I feel a little selfish, I don't know if I can do this. And you just go, yes, do it. No one else needs to see this list.
Yeah.
I have one girlfriend who wanted to build a successful business so that she could afford to have a massage once a week. I'm like, honey, whatever blows your hair back. I think that's fantastic.
Exactly.
So whatever you want, make sure you put those in there because, the journey to success is never a straight road.
Nope.
There's always going to be some challenges. But what gets you through those challenges is reminding you why. Yes. You want to do this. I remember back in 2008, 2009, we just did a big launch of Mind Movies and, I've got back to Australia and because we were working 10 hours eating junk food, I put on quite a bit of weight. But my 40th birthday party was coming up. And I need to lose weight for my 40th birthday. I think I had 7 weeks and I wanted to lose, 10 pounds or something. Yeah. So I made a mind movie for it. And I realized that, 5 o'clock in the afternoon is when I'd normally, stop work, grab a glass of wine, grab some cheese, whatever. I'm like, right, I need to change that habit because that's not helping me. So I would watch my mind movie before, at 4:30. So we'd get in front of that. But my why was I wanted to walk into that room for my birthday. And we had 50 people there. It was a big deal. Feeling amazing and looking amazing. And I could see people going, oh, my God, you look fantastic, which is exactly what happened. Yeah. But that was my why, and that's a pretty selfish kind of a why. But I'm like, it doesn't matter, because that's
Yeah.
what fueled me every day to go, nope, I'm going to do the right thing. So
Yeah.
whatever you want
Mm,
there.
mm,
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got our whys. Now we're going to think about our actions. So, what are there things that we want to change in our daily practice? Are there different, things that we need to do to be able to move closer to this goal? If it's a health goal, maybe there's a certain, eating plan that you want to be on, or exercising a certain amount of hours per day. If it's, finding love, maybe it's, spending a certain amount of time on dating apps, looking for a partner, or going out in social situations. So whatever that is, but make sure you put them in there, because you want to make sure that you can visualize and see yourself already completing these tasks.
Mm.
You have no idea how much it makes those tasks so much easier to do
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you see them already done, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so that's our actions. Our next ones is what I call our thought affirmations.
Mm.
So, I was mentioning before that our thoughts and emotions are the frequency that we send out to the universe. So, this is what's shaping our reality right now.
Yep.
So, if we want something different to what our reality is right now, if we change our thoughts, we can create something different,
Mm.
right?
Yep.
So, it could be when I think about thoughts, I think, okay, well, how does a wealthy person think? How does a person in love think?
Mm.
How does, how does a healthy person have a relationship with food? Like all these kind of things. So, what are those thoughts that I know that I want to adopt? The other thing when I'm looking at my thought affirmations is that I really want to look at any kind of negative programming, limiting beliefs, old behavior patterns, and things that are coming up that are sabotaging me. Now, I know that if I'm going to set myself a goal that's a stretch goal that I kind of get excited about, I'm going to rub up against some old programming that has kept me back where I am right now.
Yep.
I need to make sure that I'm, on top of that. So as I notice these negative thoughts and programs coming to the surface, because they will,
Yep.
I like to get them out on paper, just write them all down. And then when I look at that list, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to choose to release these thoughts because I don't want to think these anymore.
Yep.
They're not serving me.
Yep.
But what am I going to replace them with?
Mm. Yeah.
Because you can go, I don't want to think that, but unless you actually have something to replace it with, you'll just default to that thought anyway.
Right.
These thoughts, we've been thinking for some of us for 50 years, and they travel along very strong neural pathways in our brain.
Yes.
So we need to create new neural pathways that have new thoughts traveling along them. And so a little trick that I've picked up from a friend of mine, Lisa Thomas, she taught me this a while ago, is that when I catch myself thinking a thought that I didn't want to think, rather than go, oh, I wish I hadn't done that, like I told them, and you kind of beat yourself up.
Right.
Rather than do that, because that's lower frequency emotion, we don't want to go there.
Mm-hmm.
I just catch myself and then I just go, cancel, cancel, cancel. Only love exists here. Now, the reason I say that is, number one, I take a breath and I go, cancel, cancel, cancel. That's called a pattern interrupt. So that's going to interrupt that thought, okay? So I'm like, right, interrupt. But by saying only love exists here, it stops myself from beating myself up.
Mm.
And then I'm like, no, and it gives me enough time to remember the thought I've chosen to replace it with and then go into that thought.
Yeah.
It's a cute little trick. And, in the beginning, there's some effort to get this done. But then after a while, you'll realize that you don't have to use it as often because, that other thoughts get much stronger. And then the last type of affirmation is what I call your identity affirmation. So who are you? Mm-hmm. Or who do you need to become to step into this life? How do you want the world to see you? What personality traits do you have? Yeah. So think, and these are really I am affirmations. I'm confident. I'm a competent coach. I'm a loving, kind, and compassionate person in relationship or whatever that is. And you want to be able to see yourself as that, when you're doing your visualizations as well. So it's a pretty comprehensive list.
Sure.
But I think that once you get to the end of that, it's like, oh, I can so see this now. Mm-hmm. I can see, I can believe that this could happen. It really does help to crystallize that, because otherwise you're going, I want to be wealthy, but but What does that mean?
We need more. We need more than that.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah. That's such a wonderful list. As you said, it really crystallizes it. It gives people like this is what this looks like. And as you said, sometimes people just say, I want to be wealthy. Okay, that's great. But really, what does that look like? What will your life look like? How will you act? How will you think? And probably oftentimes people will say, well, I haven't thought that far. I just know I want to be wealthy. And you're like, well, this is the work that needs to be done to get to the wealth. Um, so I love that list. That's very, very good. Now, I want to ask you, how can someone start to build their belief in their dreams, especially if they are somebody that is surrounded by self doubt or past failures that they've already experienced?
Yeah. Well, the way that we do that is that we do really need to reprogram our mind.
Hmm.
Because, we have been, our subconscious mind really has been trying to keep us safe.
Yep.
Now, all of these thoughts that tell us that, that are around self-doubt or the imposter syndrome or around our worthiness or, behavior patterns like procrastination, really our subconscious mind is throwing that up is because something happened to you earlier in life and it never wants you to feel that again.
Mm.
It'll do
Yep.
anything to help you not feel that again. So we're talking about incidences like, maybe as a kid you were told that you were stupid or that you're pretty, but, not very smart, or that, that you're not worth anything, you'll never amount to anything. Or it couldn't be, maybe it's something quite benign where you saw your parents fighting over money. That was my situation. I'm one of 8 kids from a country town in Australia. So there was always stress around money.
Right.
And so that's what my program was. I saw that and go, money equals stress. Okay. So as I'm an adult, I remember with my husband having these really stressful conversations for no reason. I'm like, why am I getting so excited about this? But I realized I was just emulating my parents' behavior because when I was young, that's what I witnessed. I got it stored in that was the belief that I stored in my mind. And then, what happens is we get these beliefs, and they could be anything from I'm not worthy, I don't deserve, all the self-doubt.
Yeah.
But what happens is then as we move through life, let's say, for example, you were told that you were stupid, and you do an exam and you fail. Subconscious mind goes, see, told you. It's trying to gather evidence. And sometimes it's gathering evidence from things that aren't actually,
Yeah.
I remember because I struggled with my weight in my 30s, and I was always pretty thin and athletic when I was young. So I'm like, I don't understand with all this belief around my body image is coming from. And then I remember going home to see mum and dad, and mum's like, oh, I saw such and such that you went to school with. She's put on some weight. And I'm like, oh, ding, ding, ding. There we go.
There it is. Got it.
Found it. I'm like, right, that's where that program comes from. But, Glenn would, my husband would, say, oh, you look really pretty tonight. And in my mind, I'm going, yeah, sure, you think my clothes are nice, but, you think I'm fat. Like, I would have thoughts like that. So this is what the subconscious mind does. It's very tricky. So for us to be able to build our belief, we need to be able to see ourselves in this future, create these new neural pathways, and really build up our belief that this can happen. Now, the way that we do that, there's a couple of things that we can do. Number one, we want to be visualizing ourselves in this future as often as we can. So when you do visualize, what I highly recommend is that you just choose one moment that you are going to experience. Maybe it's walking into the bank and paying off your mortgage. Maybe it's being on vacation with your new love. Maybe it's, jogging on the beach for the first time in 20 years or something. So just choose one moment.
Okay. And
then rather than seeing yourself as a character in a movie, what you want to do is actually experience it as if you're experiencing now. So all of your senses. In 2020, I created a mind movie at the beginning of the year to find love. I'm like, okay, I'm going to find love. This is going to be great. And then the pandemic hit, and I'm like, oh, boom. Anyway, I ended up meeting a guy in August of 2020. He was everything that I asked for in my mind movie, like everything. I didn't actually show him my mind movie until 3 months into our relationship because he's like, whoa, wait a minute. He goes, this is a little creepy because this is us. I go, see, you think you found me, but I manifested you.
Yeah.
The vision that I used
Oh,
to always see when I was thinking about this love was being on a beach, laying on the deck chairs. I could feel the deck chairs underneath my body. I could hear the waves crashing and smell the ocean. I could feel the sun on my skin. And I had my hand and I was holding this guy's hand. I didn't see the guy, but I was just holding this guy's hand. And the feeling of contentment and love in that moment that I was feeling was just amazing. And so when Bert and I got together, within the first month, because it's still COVID,
yeah.
we decide that we're going to go on a road trip because, that's what that can test a couple. Let's just see whether we're going to survive the road trip.
Right.
We went up the coast of California. We're in Monterey. We are on the beach. We're on these deck chairs, and I'm realizing, oh my God, this is what my visualization was. And it came to fruition really quickly. And we had a couple of those moments, one at a Dr. Joe event where he did it at the resort down in Mexico. And I remember sitting there and I was holding his hand. We're on the deck chairs. And I'm looking at the ocean going, here we are again. We can create this. So when you visualize, really make sure that you utilize all of your senses. Now, once you create that visualization, the first couple of times you probably want to sit down with your eyes closed and really concentrate that on and really bring up, the emotions. What you can do is also attach this to a song. Like if you make a mind movie, then you always have a song with it, and the song becomes the anchor. And, the song is something that's going to really help to elicit the emotions that you want. Like if you love is what you're looking for, then choose a love song. If, health is something that you're looking for, or something have something really upbeat. I think the last one I've got is Confident by Demi Lovato. I love that song. Or, if it's something else, something that's meaningful you do that's going to help to bring up those emotions. But once you've created that, you don't need to be sitting down with your eyes closed to be able to go into that visualization. You could be vacuuming the house or driving the car or waiting in line or doing any number of things that don't require a lot of brain power. And you can vacation, and especially if you have a song that's connected to this future, you can play that song and you can instantly go there, regardless of what you're doing. So the more often we do that, what happens is that we start to create these new neural pathways. Now, this is really important because, and I've mentioned this a couple of times, old thoughts that we have thought repetitively over years and years and years are traveling along these really strong neural pathways in our brain. We need to create new neural pathways. Now, we always thought that by the time you got to age 21, your brain is developed and that's it. No. We know now that through brain plasticity, we can create new neural pathways. But again, we need to do it through repetition.
Yes.
So if we're visualizing this repetitively, then we start to think thoughts that are in alignment with that. Those thoughts automatically start to affect our actions. So all the things that were hard for us to do before now become a whole lot easier to do. And when our thoughts, emotions, and actions are all in alignment with this amazing future that we can see in our mind, that actually our subconscious mind doesn't realize isn't our reality. It thinks it is because we're seeing it so often and we're making it so real. That's when you really start to quicken the manifestation process. So that's how we really need to, and when you do that, like, not only, and this is the other thing that you want to add to your gratitude practice, I call it your evidence journal. There is going to be some amazing things that are going to start to fall into place. Once you start to get clear and you write that list of affirmations, it will blow your mind at how quickly things start to show up. You want to start acknowledging those things. You want to write them down because this is evidence that the universe or God or your spirit guides or whatever you want to call that has your back, that you're on the right track, that things are going your way. Yes. Because again, remember what we focus on expands. So the more that you can do that, the more those things start to show up for you.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So Natalie, I love everything you just said. And to keep, if anybody is new to this whole manifest manifesting thing, visualization. She just gave her story about, finding her love, so on and so forth. So I'm going to share my story very, very quickly.
Yeah.
In 2023, my vehicle was stolen outside my carport, and I started thinking I was not in a financial position to get a new vehicle that at that time. So during that, I started visualizing what my dream car was going to be. And I'm like, if I'm going to get a new vehicle, it's going to be my dream vehicle. I did exactly what you said, which I didn't even realize that I was doing it, was I chose one moment, and I pictured a black Toyota 4Runner in my carport. I pictured me backing out, my driver or my daughter being in the driver's seat, not driver's seat, but beside me, listening
Passenger
to
seat.
music. Yeah, exactly. And I got that car a year and a half later, the exact black one that I wanted. It took a while, but I was working towards things, and I know without a doubt it's because of the visualization. I even acted like I was driving it. Like I drove it when I was sitting in my bed visualizing it. I thought about the songs playing, so all those senses stuff that you were talking about. There's hands down no doubt that I definitely manifested that. So I promise you, it works.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, I have so many stories. We had this woman in
Exactly.
Australia who, this was at a Dr. Joe event, because Dr.
Okay.
Joe used to use my movies in his
Mm-hmm.
events. And so her and her husband were struggling financially, and they put their house on the market, but they had no offers and had been on the market for like a month or something. And so she's like, don't worry, honey, we're going to be fine. And she goes, I'm off to Dr. Joe. So she goes to the event. So when she's doing this process at Dr. Joe's event, she can see herself in her living room. She can feel the pen in her hand.
Mm-hmm.
She's signing the contract. She can smell the real estate agent's aftershave. She can feel the bubbles or the champagne on her nose. She can taste the champagne because they're celebrating. And what she's feeling in that moment is just relief. Relief.
Mm.
Just
Yes.
so happy and relieved. So
Yeah.
that night she goes back to her room, and there's a text message from her husband going, you got to call me. So she calls her husband. He goes, you're not going to believe this. We got an offer on the house. She goes, well, I do believe it. Anyway, and he goes, but it's not for the amount that we want, but I think we should take it. She goes, no, just hold off. Just wait, and they did the exercise again the next day. But this time she saw the amount on the top of the contract. And 3 days later, they got an offer for what they were asking for. And sometimes it can happen that quickly. Like I have a friend of mine that that's here in LA. He's Irish. He's a filmmaker. He's in LA for a couple of months. And I was chatting with him, and he goes, I'm just not sure what direction to go. And I go, well, come over. I'll take you through my little process. And he made a mind movie. And but the things that he was asking for, he goes, well, I'm here, I want to meet a producer, I want to meet a financing and a distributor. That's what I really need, is a distributor.
Yeah.
So the other day, this is 3 days later, he's driving on Sunset Boulevard, and he's trying to be healthy, and he's eating this chicken salad every day. And then he passes this famous burger place on Sunset Boulevard, and he goes, oh, I could really do with a burger. He goes, no, I'm going to be healthy. And he drives past, and he goes, no, I'm going to have a burger. So he does a U-turn, he comes back, goes, and the place is packed. So he gets his burger, and he looks around, and this guy that's got a spare seat on his table. He goes, look, do you mind if I sit here? And the guy's like, no, you're fine. So he sits down, and this guy's doing, Matthew, my friend, is making voice notes into his phone because they've got this big project they're working on. So the guy then goes, hi, so I couldn't help but overhear you. He goes, what is it that you do? And he goes, oh, I'm just doing this film project. And he goes, what do you do? He goes, well, I'm a distributor. And Matthew is sending me this voice message going, I know you're going to tell me how this is how it happens, but I cannot believe it happened this quickly. So, like I said, I think the trick is to really make sure that you're in a high frequency emotion, make sure that you're in gratitude, make sure you're grateful for everything that you already have. And not just already that you have in your possession, but everything that you have inside of you that you know is going to make this happen. And only from that place do you want to, think about your dreams, think about the most perfect life that you could have. If money and time were no options, what do you want in your life? How would you like to live? And dare to put it in affirmations or on a vision board or in a mind movie or whatever. Like when you do that, it will astound you. at
Yeah.
how things can show up for you. And it might not be exactly what you've described, but it's going to be something as amazing. Like, I could never have dreamed up the life that I get to live. Like, this is insane. Like,
Right.
you know?
Exactly. Yes. I love it. I love it. So, Natalie, can you explain a little bit what is kind of happening in our brains when we are doing this visualization and how this does really impact our ability to manifest the outcomes that we want?
Yeah. Well, as I was mentioning before, like the changing our neural pathways is really
Okay.
important, or creating these new ones.
Yeah.
But what's also happening is that we're training our reticular activating system. So the reticular activating system is this bundle of nerves at the base of the brain, and it serves as the gatekeeper. It actually does a lot of functions, but it also serves as the gatekeeper between your conscious and subconscious mind. Now, the reason that's important is because the subconscious mind, and everyone, it differs on the number, but I'm going to just throw out a number, which is ballpark, processes around 40 million bits of data per second. 40 million bits of data per second, like a lot, right?
Oh my gosh.
And the conscious mind can only process 40.
Like
Okay?
40?
40.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
So, I mean, if we were aware of 40 million bits of data per second, oh my God, I don't know how we'd be able to function.
Yeah.
So the reticular activating system says, okay, out of the 40 million bits of data, I'm going to decide which 40 make it through to the conscious mind. Okay. Now, by doing these visualizations on a regular basis, we are training the reticular activating system to go, listen, if anything in that 40 million bits of data per second comes up that's relevant to what I want to create in my life, I want you to make sure that it makes it through to my conscious mind. So this is when you start to be completely aware of all the amazing things that are falling into place. The serendipitous meetings of someone in a coffee shop, or the email coming through, the opportunity, or the whatever. You've trained your RAS and your brain to be focused on those things. Like, a perfect example of this is back when I lived in Sydney. Glenn and I were looking to buy a new car. I wanted a convertible, but I wanted a hardtop because, we in the city, people would often, mess up the soft tops and everything. So I'm like, I need to be a hardtop.
Yeah.
So Glenn did some research and he goes, I think we should get a VW EOS. I'm like, what the hell is a VW EOS? I've never even heard of that. So he showed me a picture of one. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cute. I'm like, oh, that's it. The next day when I'm driving around Sydney, I see 10 of them. Now, they were always there, but because it wasn't something that was an interest of me, I never really took any notice. But now that it was, like, I saw them everywhere. I'm like, so that's what this is like. This is what we're doing. And again, we're trying to build our belief and expectation. These are two really important ingredients when it comes to creating our reality. We have to believe it's going to happen, and we just have to expect it. Now, after a while, when you're, doing these, visualizing and taking action and moving towards your goals and the whole thing, and you start to notice all these things falling into place, that is going to naturally start to build your belief.
Yeah. Okay.
And you'll get to a place where, I remember Glenn and I used to always say, God, everything always turns out for us. Because we do at this place, we just kind of expected it to.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter how outrageous we wanted to set a goal for something. It just always came to fruition.
Yeah.
So this is this is where we're trying to get to. We're trying to get to this place where you go, okay, no, I know this is going to happen, or I know this. And, and some people go, well, I practice on, manifesting a car space. Great. Or manifesting a cup of coffee or whatever. Great. Yeah. And keep doing that. Keep leaning in. Keep, and I know in the beginning it can be a little challenging because you go, look, it's all right for you, Natalie. You've been doing this a long time. And, and I go, yes, but the principles apply to everybody. And it doesn't matter where you are in life. It doesn't matter where you've been. These are just basic universal concepts and principles that anyone can use, regardless of, where you are right now.
Yeah.
And maybe you do start small. Maybe you start with little things just to build up your confidence a little bit.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you'll be manifesting amazing stuff.
Exactly. Exactly. And as she is saying, sometimes we can look at people and we could say, well, Natalie, she has it all and all this stuff. And so that's great for her. But I promise you, as somebody that I know is not like near the level of Natalie now, this is what I now believe in because I used to see that gap. And I don't want to see that gap anymore for that very reason, because I've manifested so many different things and changed so many different beliefs. And now I'm going that direction. So I promise people it can happen.
Yeah,
Now,
I mean, and I look at everything in my life, it's intentional.
yeah.
I intentionally wanted, like, where I live, the car I drive, the
Yes.
circle of friends I have around me, the projects I'm working on, the people that I'm serving with my
Mm,
company. I dreamed up and believed and intentionally worked towards creating all of these things.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
None of it
Intention
was
is
by accident.
exactly. Now I know we're getting a little bit I don't want to say strapped for time, but we're getting close to the time. But could you, maybe go over some of the most important steps for manifesting? I know we've talked about it, but if we can just give people a clear picture on what that looks like so they know what to do once
Yep.
they stop watching this video and can start their
Yeah.
stuff.
Absolutely. All right. Because I'm a practical girl. I'm like okay, I've had success. How did I do that? And how can other
Exactly.
people copy that?
Yeah.
So first step, get into your happy place. Be in that high vibration. That's super important. The next step is you want to write out an intention statement,
Yeah.
because your intention statement's like a line in the sand.
Mm.
It's like a no matter what, I am creating this. And your intention statement is basically two sentences. The first is, this is what I want. The second one is, this is why I want it.
All right.
So it could be, I have an outrageously successful business, helping women around the world to create better lives for themselves. This enables me to fulfill my purpose, to travel the world and to, donate to charities or, whatever that is.
Yeah.
The two sentences. Now, I always write it out. I stick it on my mirror in the bathroom. I only need to recite it for maybe the first week or so. But in the
Mm.
mornings, I'll get up, and when I see that there, I will look myself in the eyes in the mirror, and I'm like, I have an outrageously successful business. So I will get into and really say it with a lot of emotion.
Mm. Yeah.
Anything that you do when it comes to the manifestation process, the most important part of it is the emotion part.
Yes.
When you're writing in a gratitude journal, the point of that is to feel gratitude. When you're reciting your intention statement, the point of that is to feel so much conviction and resolve that this is going to happen. You have no idea how the wheels start to turn already when you do that.
Yes.
The next thing is getting clear about what you want. And that is really going through, writing out all those affirmations, thinking about the different types of affirmations that you want. And then with that list, you can either have that list, put it up somewhere, you can include that on a vision board or mind movie, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
But the purpose of that list and the purpose of getting clear is that because that's the tool that you use to help you visualize.
Mm.
Okay?
Yep.
So then once you're clear, then you want to start your visualizations every day, as often as you can, because that's helping to create these new neural pathways, to build your belief, to help you to see it already happening. Training your reticular activating system. It's doing all of those things. So do that as often as you possibly can every day, and feel the emotions of what you will feel. So remember, you don't have to necessarily feel joy or gratitude. Like I said with the woman in Australia, she just felt relief. So
Yeah.
whatever that's going to be, maybe if you're, visualizing yourself going to the bank and paying off your mortgage, maybe that's just accomplishment or pride. Maybe that's what you're feeling. So
Yeah.
think about what you'll feel in that moment, and that's the emotion that you want to bring up. Then, of course, the next step is taking action. So I think a lot of people go, oh, I just got to wait till I've got this and this in a row and all the ducks in a row and everything. No. You just need to lean in and start to take action in a direction. Now, here's the deal. It may not be the direction you end up on. It doesn't matter. It's going to lead you there anyway. There's no such thing as taking the wrong action, because even if it doesn't end up taking you on that path, there is a lesson that you've learned. You've become a certain person. There's some personality traits you've taken on. There is something that's good that's coming out of it, and it was purposeful to help you to get onto the right track. So always just lean in, start to take action, whether that's just researching, asking people for advice, or whatever that is.
Mm.
So that's action. Then we have, so you've got that's 4, right? No, 5.
5, yep.
That's 5. Okay, so we've got one more. So, which for me has been the hardest one to embody because it is very challenging. And that is what I call surrender. So you've got all of these things, you're taking the action, you've got your affirmations, blah, 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 everything's going great. And then you just have to release it all and go, you know what? It may not show up the way that I think. It may not show up how I think it's going to show up. And I can't have any control over how long it's going to take because it's going to happen in divine timing exactly when it's supposed to. So if you're too like angsty and desperate and, you know, and frustrated and impatient, they're low frequency emotions. We can't be there. We have to be in the, well, if it's not here yet, it's not meant to be here yet, and that's okay because that's what it's meant to be, kind of thing. So it's a very challenging place to hang out, especially if you're working towards a goal that's taking some time.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh man, I love that. It's funny because, you know, earlier you had, you know, said something about expecting, like just expect it's going to happen. And it's funny because you want to expect that it's going to happen, but you kind of have to watch your expectations also and not get so frustrated if it hasn't happened in 2 days, 2 weeks, you know, and so that has to be a very, very fine balance. For me, when I look back at my journey with my car, I know it took a long time and I was actually okay with that. I didn't need a vehicle right then and there. But there was this deep belief that I knew it was gonna happen. I knew I was gonna find it, the exact one that I wanted. And it will eventually happen. So yeah, the surrender thing, I concur with Natalie. That's
Yeah.
that's the hardest
Well,
part.
and I think part of it too is being happy with what is.
Yes.
We don't want to be delaying happiness and gratitude because I'm only going to be happy once this happens. It has to be happy with what is, what's presenting, what's showing up right now. Because here's the thing. When you know how to do this manifestation process, we're always creating something new, and we're not doing it out of greed. We're doing it because, well, what's next? What's the next level? Where do we want to go next? Blah, blah, blah. So we're always going to be on the journey. Yeah. Always.
Yeah.
So we have to be happy with each day of the journey. And sometimes that's acknowledging the challenges that show up and go, I know that was tough, but I'm glad I got through it. And now I know this, and I know next time I won't do that or whatever. And, or, you know, being in a partnership and then realizing that, you know, it didn't work out, but realizing the signs to see for next time if it was to happen again. And, you know, everything is just beautiful and divine and exactly the way it's meant to be. So, you know, it's.
I love that. And that's a great reminder. So Natalie, as we end our time together today, what are some final things that you can share with our audience to help people have the best year of their lives?
Well, other than doing all the homework that we just gave you in this interview, I think that one of the ingredients that I think is really important to living your best life and to creating whatever it is that you want, other than what we've already spoken about, is the people that you surround yourself with. You know, I have intentionally surrounded myself with a lot of transformational leaders like myself. So that when I am striving for something and that self-doubt will inevitably come up, it comes up for all of us. You know, I know I have an amazing support group that I can call. They can talk me off the ledge. They can remind me that, no, you've got this and blah, 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 and have you thought about this, and give you that support. But also someone that you can feel safe in sharing your dreams with, because, you know, you can't share your dreams with everybody, and they don't all deserve to be in that process with you.
Yep.
But to have some people around you that you know you can share your dreams and talk about your challenges, and they can hold space for you and not judge or try to fix you, but just, be able to hear you out, and that you could do the same for them.
Mm. Yes.
I think at this time of my life, this is what I love the most, is that, especially with women, like, when we're younger, we compete against each other and it's a little crazy.
Right.
But when we're this age, we've been through all that. We realize that that's silly, and we're at this place where we genuinely have each other's back and are looking after each other. So, when you can really fill your life with incredible relationships like that, it really does make the difference.
Yeah. It does make a difference, because I've had to let go of friendships that weren't serving me, that weren't going towards the way that I wanted to go. And when you can have a good support group that will walk you through some of your fears and stuff, and you feel safe telling them and not silly, and you can, have that vulnerability, it really does make all the difference in the world for you to continue going, down that path. So thank you so much for sharing that. Now, why don't you tell people where they can find out more about you and your awesome work and all the things that you are doing?
Yeah. Oh, God, there's lots. So let's see. Mindmovies.com is our main website.
Okay.
If you go there, you can actually download 6 free pre-made mind movies. That way you get an idea of what a mind movie looks like. And then you can kind of get some ideas from that. Also, if you go to mindmovies.com, I think is the main website.
Awesome.
You can find out everything, the podcasts, the programs, all that kind of thing. You will get from that main website.
Perfect. Well, Natalie, this has been a wonderful conversation, and you have left us with such great advice and tips and homework and all that great stuff. So thank you again. I appreciate the conversation.
Thanks, Melissa. It's been amazing. I loved it.
Likewise.